guys, and welcome to day 13, our very last segment of Natural Beauty Summit's Detox Your Lifestyle and Reset for 2022. I want you guys to know that we are only just beginning to scratch the surface here, and we have so many other great experts that we're lining up for the second part of this summit to cover other facets of our daily lives and to detox from them that we'll be bringing to you in the spring. In the meantime, this is our last segment, and it is so close to the holidays. I think it's a great time that many of us are thinking about self-care. And my guest today is Sarah BUSCHO, who's the founder of a skincare line called Earth to Face. Now, I'd heard about this line quite a lot in the clean and conscious world of beauty, and it wasn't really until I tried some of their products that I was amazed. Now, this is not intended to be selling you products, but I want you to listen to the conversation because it's about how a conscious company really thinks about ingredients as well as packaging and how all of those things affect not just your health, but the health of the planet. Now, this conversation is dear to me because there are so many values that Sarah and I share. This is the I on my other life, which is Sugar Wax. As a founder of Sugar Wax, I have put a lot of thought, like Sarah has, into the impact on the planet as well as our health. So this conversation for me is like just talking to a great friend who shares some of my most esteemed values. So I'm excited for you guys to hear the conversation, learn about, what are some of the ingredients that you might want to be avoiding, and really looking at what the earth, nature, has to offer to us and how we can live in symbiosis with it. Also, Sarah has graciously offered a 20% discount code on her website, Earth to Face, which you'll be seeing in the email that this video came in. And to tag along, I would also love to offer an end of year sale code for Sugar Wax. So even though hair removal is not a topic that we covered during this summit, it is, if it's something that you're thinking about rethinking and detoxing from, sugaring is a great alternative. And for you guys, the offer or the sale code to use at checkout at sugarwax.com, goodbye 2021, all one word, all caps, goodbye 2021. I'll include the code in the email. In the meantime, stay tuned with my chat with Sarah BUSCHO. Welcome to Natural Beauty Summit's Detoxify Your Lifestyle and Reset for 2022. I'm so excited to be with Sarah BUSCHO, who is the founder of Earth to Face Cosmetics and Skincare. I guess it's more skincare than cosmetics, actually. But welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you so much. It's so excited to talk with you today.
I'm super thrilled to be talking to you because when I started my business, Sugar, I was like, it was an uphill battle with packaging. And I was like, it has to be glass, it has to be paper, all these things. And suppliers looked at me like I was crazy, like to ask for these things. And then I meet you, and you have literally been doing exactly that since 2012, which is so bold and brave, but it also like really illustrates your commitment to the whole environmental impact of our, skincare and cosmetic choices. So I commend you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we did all of our packaging in 2011 because we officially launched in 2012, but the line was already formed. It came into being around 2009 maybe, but under different packaging. And then when I decided to launch full force, I just wanted it to be a sustainable, circular way of looking at packaging. So at the time, glass was just, it's still really high up there because it's infinitely recyclable and
Yes.
reusable, and then paper. But I just wanted to avoid plastic at all costs. And
Same.
ocean-bound plastic is the dream, but it's just not accessible right now.
Yes,
So
we talked about that. That'll be
yeah,
our future. Well, I mean, when we think about toxicity, and this is sort of like the theme of this whole thing, right? We're usually thinking about, something that could be toxic to us. And we don't always think too far beyond that. But for the purposes of our discussion today, it's really to help others see the full picture of toxicity. And I want to start the conversation with fragrances, because even if you're not like really big on clean or conscious, you have probably heard somewhere at some point that, if there's fragrances on the ingredient list, that's like public enemy number one. And I would love for you to talk about why that is and what are we really concerned about?
yeah. Okay, this is such a good topic. I've always steered away from fragrances because I could just feel myself having a reaction. But one of the reasons why synthetic fragrances, but it's not just synthetic, a few natural products can also do this. And we'll talk about that. But one of the reasons why is because they have phthalates in them. And phthalates tend to, they can give people allergic reactions, they can be hormone disruptors, they can even be carcinogenic. And they're like almost like fixatives, but like liquid, almost thin liquid plastic. And so if you spray a perfume or you want a cleaning product to have a lasting scent that people, I think we've been trained to associate that with cleanliness or efficacy, those scents, but actually those fixatives can be really, really harmful. And I think there's nuance here. Like, I think that there could be a place where synthetics can be really great so that we're not over harvesting like certain plants or whatever, but I think we need to do it safely. And so we should really stay away from phthalates and just generally the fact that there is no regulation really in cosmetics, but especially in fragrances, because you can put words on your packages that can be like parfum, and that could mean like 100 different synthetic chemicals in their proprietary blend. And so you really just don't know what you're interacting with. And that could be like a hazard. It can especially be a hazard for people who have to work with these materials on a daily basis. So it is something to keep in mind. And I just like to think about, a lot of these materials are so small, they really do absorb into our body through our skin. And so what do we want to be giving our body? And by extension, what do we want to be giving the planet? So that's like, what are we producing on the planet? All the hands that are touching the things that we produce, all the runoff, it's a closed system, everything's going back to the earth. And then in our lives. So I think the most win-win solution is we just work with things that are net beneficial, like net beneficial crops, net beneficial ingredients, net beneficial things in our homes. I just think that's the clearest choice that we have.
I absolutely love how passionate you are about the full picture. And we're going to totally get into that. That's one of the reasons why I'm super excited to be chatting with you, because a lot of people, they can talk about one facet, but not like necessarily see the full picture. But just on the note of fragrances, I really want to talk about this because it seems so counterintuitive that something that smells so good isn't good for us. And I think it's also important to really distinguish here. The reason why fragrance in the ingredient list is public enemy number one is not because all fragrances are bad, but fragrance covers such a vast category of things that most of the time are not good.
Yeah. And are unregulated.
And are very unregulated, but most of the time, like, you don't even know what's in them. I know for one of our I shouldn't probably name it until it becomes public, but one of our applications to show that we're not just saying that we're clean, but we're actually clean. We had to show the source of the fragrance in one of our products, the source of the fragrance, because fragrance can mean so many different things that are not good. And we, like you, actually tend to steer towards essential oils. And guys, I think it's really, really important to understand that we're not talking about like, your drugstore perfume that like, you spray a cloud and breathe it in and all over yourself and you want to smell like it all day. We're talking about everything with fragrance. So your soap, your candles, your everything. So
cleaning products,
cleaning
huge.
products, yes,
nail products,
trained yeah. So anything that you can
hair,
smell, in your shampoo, in your gel,
spray, whatever, mousse,
lotions, literally everything has fragrance unless it's fragrance free. And we are now trying to, like brands like Earth to Face and us as Sugar are trying to introduce like beautiful scent, but not in fragrance, but from essential oils.
Yes.
And as humans, we're so, drawn to scent and fragrance. And one of the things that I love about what you have done, and I have it here, guys, this is so cute. So it's a shell, it's an actual shell, and it has perfume in it. Can we talk about what you put in here?
Yes, definitely.
It's so good.
So I think really important is just like a review of what an essential oil is. So an essential oil is usually a steam or solvent extracted, very concentrated essence of a plant material. So like a bark, a flower, a leaf, resins are usually from the wood portion. And it's not really an oil. An oil is a misnomer. It's a liquid that comes out that is so small, it really does absorb into our bodies. And an example of this is if you took a piece of garlic and you rubbed that piece of garlic on the bottom of your foot, you would taste it on your tongue 30 minutes later. And that is the essential oil of garlic. So it's a really strong kind of flavor, smell, aroma, beautiful for blending, highly medicinal, and really, really important to use in the right amounts and with education, right? Like never, ever, ever are you ingesting essential oils. I do not believe that that's safe. Never are you using more than a certain amount. Like formulations should usually stick to about 2% of the total blend. And that's a safe range. And I do believe that anyone who works with essential oils needs to be really educated in aromatherapy, but also in essential oil safety. And there's some really good classes, resources, books. And I think that's really important to say because it is such a strong, volatile, magical ingredient. So that's
I like that you say that because it's such a testament to, how potent natural ingredients are. And we're going to get into like efficacy of natural products and ingredients, but that's such a testament in and of itself that, you can't overdo even things in nature.
Yes. And anyone can be allergic to anything. So there are people who are allergic to certain botanicals, oftentimes in the citrus family. Those tend to be a little bit allergenic. It can cause photosensitivity if they're not steam distilled. There's things to keep in mind in every single group. And then of course you want to look at the healthy plant populations because an essential oil does take so much plant material to produce. So you want to look at sustainable crops. Like I love using grasses that are soil regenerators or erosion control because you need to replant those grasses and then you can keep doing that and have sustainable crops. So there's so much to know. And I really just think if we look at nature for solutions, it's endless. Like we can find win-wins everywhere. But that balm that you are holding is a seashell compact perfume. And that I think, do you have the jasmine? Is that?
Yeah, it smells so good.
So we use 3 different types of real jasmine blooms that are steam distilled to make essential oil. And then we can pour these like solid perfume bombs with organic oils and organic beeswax into these solid perfumes. And they're just so fun. It's like mermaid realness for all of us.
Yeah.
The
But
package is
like,
like,
I just put a little bit on my wrist and I feel like I'm in the garden and it just rained. Like I can
it's
totally
like white
smell
flower.
jasmine. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that white flower kind of experience is hard to get in naturals. And it's so precious. Jasmine essential oil is so rare and precious and amazing. So it's such a treat to use. And then the seashell is just our take on producing packaging that is zero waste. So you never want to get rid of that package. It's inherently precious. We actually do refill for some customers. They mail back and we refill their shells because they're really attached to them.
That's so
And I just love
cool.
it. Yeah.
I love that. Now let's broaden the lens a little bit and talk about the impact of toxic ingredients on environment and people. Now, when I'm formulating, I'm thinking primarily about the health of the end user, right? So it's about the person. And, not obviously not using known toxins, but the net beneficial. And then the environmental impact. But you go so far above that. Like you're considering like the impact on people, community, equity, inclusion. Like I would love for you to paint a picture, like a full, like, I guess I hate using this word, but like a full view, like 30,000 foot picture of like, what does the impact of our choices when we make a decision to buy something, to use something, what is the impact of that one decision on everything, like us, the environment, and the people that touch it?
Yes. Thank
We
you.
talk about that circle. I love
Really
that.
nice. I just think that I think we're around the same age, and the world that we grew up in has been, our economy has been so focused on producing things in what we could call the global south, and especially fashion and cosmetics and raw materials, any kind of manufacturing, right? So I think we need to really change that for so many reasons. Like environmentally, we need to be using local ingredients. We need to be supporting our local economy by trying to keep manufacturing close. We need to stop shipping goods around the world. But we also need to think about what kind of system we've set up for the people who are actually producing raw materials or products. So I think whenever I'm trying to create a product, I'm trying to go big picture first so that we can go for win-win solutions. And inherently, if the product is causing no harm to the user or is net beneficial to the user, then I would want every step along the way for it to be doing the same for the people interacting with the raw materials. So whether that's a crop growing that, like I said, is a healthy plant population, good for the earth, producing something great for the local economy, not traveling super far. I'm going to say there's a caveat, which is not every ingredient we use is local. That would be impossible.
Yeah, that'd be really hard for sure.
Yeah, especially the way the system is set up now, right? We just don't have the infrastructure. We're not producing like a ton of green packaging, for example, in the US. I think we need to. I think it would be amazing if we could do our own true recycle programs and like melt down all our plastic and make something, since it's essentially wish cycling right now with plastic. So
Yes.
there's just huge topics here. And I think that if we start to look at, I'm not going to support a product if there are people being exploited or the earth is being exploited through this product.
Okay, but I just want to pause you for a second because I think it's easier to see the big picture when you're in your shoes. Like this is what you do all day, every day. But for the everyday consumer who, has a job, has a family, has whatever going on, and they need things, they need to be clean, they need to take care of themselves. Can you give me an example of someone who walks into a store and makes a purchase decision, and what is the fallout of that decision?
Okay. Yes. And nuance is important here, right? Like we're all trying to survive. We have to make certain decisions. We can't be perfectionist about it. So We can make the best decisions that we can given the constraints that we have in real time, you know? It would be amazing if we could all be zero waste, but the first thing I would do is to look at the packaging. So I think packaging is really important. It's just as important as the ingredients. So those are the two things. And I would try to get to know the companies that you love and support and look at, do they have like fair and inclusive labor practices? Are they trying to like pay living wages? Are they, what's their leadership style? Or do they have a leadership style? Are they huge businesses? Huge businesses can often hide a lot of the decisions that they're making in terms of producing and sourcing because they're doing it overseas. There's so many protections allotted to them, like as giant corporations.
But
Just,
also, as a
yeah.
giant corporation, not one person doesn't have visibility into the 500 layers. So it's not that they're necessarily evil. Like, I don't think that that's what we're trying to say.
No,
But it's
no.
just it's hard. It's hard to control every decision that gets made at every level.
Well, I think you can take fast fashion and look at it. Aja Barber is an amazing person. I love her work on Patreon and also Instagram, but she's really into dissecting fast fashion. So that's a really good example of like, no one person is making the decisions affecting their entire supply chain or manufacturing, however, but if you see a shirt that is, you know, $10 a t-shirt, you just know that there's exploitation all the way up to getting to that shirt because you can't produce cotton. Just the amount of water and tending that a cotton plant needs to form that t-shirt is impossible for it to be $10. So you know that there's like waste being dumped by factories, that there's like agricultural practices that are net harmful, that there's, you know, you can start to see and you can start to make your choices based on, I mean, buying less, but buying better. I mean, I think that's a really big part of our future. And I don't know how we get from where we are now to that future altogether, because we also need to increase wages. We need a really different economic system.
Yeah.
But I think we can use bridge companies. So like there are people trying to do it. And right now it doesn't necessarily make sense to do it in your business bottom line, but it is really important for the planet and it is where the future is going. That's kind of how I would say it.
Yeah, and I think speaking of where the future is going, one of the pitfalls of natural products over the years has been questions around efficacy and results. And that has really, really changed over the course of the last decade or so. Now, when we look at the science, what does the landscape of tests and studies look like from your perspective? And I think this is an important facet of the whole, you know, the whole landscape to understand as a consumer, because I think sometimes like green and clean has gotten a reputation in the past for not being as good. It's not as effective. It doesn't give you results. And even though that's less true today, that perception is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, as someone who's, you know, picking and choosing ingredients and combining them, decide like, or, you know, what's that?
Can you hear the?
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
Not yet. No, I know you've warned me. We might have some noise in the background, guys. But like, how do you know, like, what studies do you refer to know if it's like, you know, like truly clean, green, but also effective?
Yeah. So
Where do you
touched on it earlier, like with your ingredient audit. I think ingredient audits are really, really key. And I think it's really great that there are a lot of independent organizations that audit for different things. Like we're Leaping Bunny certified. So every single one of our ingredients has been audited for testing on animals, for example. And I think those audits are really important. And I think sourcing is really important. But with studies, we talked about it a little bit. It's really interesting that, for example, the pharmaceutical industry runs like 10 or 15-year tests before they deem something as safe. And we just don't do that with cosmetic ingredients. And I wish that we did. I don't know like how to accomplish that, because I don't think little businesses can necessarily do that. But what I love about naturals is that we've been co-evolving with natural plants and products for thousands of years, even hundreds of years. And so there's a wealth of knowledge that's been passed down about safety and efficacy. And there's a plethora of teachers and books. I have lots of books that I always refer to. I have lots of teachers who I love about that teach medical herbalism, essential oil safety, you know, cosmetic formulation safety. Just for me, it's books. And then I also look at, I think we were talking about it, the National Center for, oh my gosh, I'm going to space on the name, National Center for Biotechnology. So their website has a lot of studies that have been done on individual ingredients, safety, efficacy, study after study. If studies have been done, it's on there. And so I think it's really important to, I don't use anything that has been deemed unsafe in Europe, because Europe has over 1,300 cosmetic ingredients that are banned, and some of those are natural. And I think it's really important to know, whereas the US only has 11. We just have no regulations from the FDA, which I think is really key to know, and to start reading labels, go deep, go to the environmental working group, skin deep. There's tons of databases now. When I started Earth to Face, there was truly almost nothing. I mean, in the early 2000s, naturals, no one even talked about natural beauty or green beauty or clean beauty. All these things just were not a thing. So the positive side of it becoming so popular, one of them is that you can get a plethora of information now. One negative side is obviously greenwashing. So
Yes.
there's a lot of that. So
Talk
that's
at length about greenwashing too. So just to kind of go back to, you know, the science aspect of it. Now, if I'm understanding you correctly, and I'm trying to like simplify it so that everyone can sort of understand that whole landscape of like testing and results for cosmetics. So there's pharmaceuticals, which are, you know, very intensely studied over long periods of time. Theoretically, that's the core purpose of the FDA. So that's one silo. And then you have natural ingredients, which have been studied for as long as people have been around, because that's how we've been growing and evolving and surviving. And then you have cosmetics, which are not natural and they're not being studied. So it's kind of like the Wild West, with the exception of these like 11 ingredients. Anything goes. It's really up to the companies themselves to self-regulate. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, we have
in America.
Yeah, we have like, I'm gonna butcher the legislations, but there have been like the Truth in Cosmetics Acts. We have things that prevent companies from making outlandish health claims
But yeah,
on labels. But I would say
the ingredient ban, which was pretty recent, that's only in California. So if you're
Yeah.
making stuff in Nevada, that
Right.
doesn't even apply to you.
Yeah, it's very, very unregulated. And that's true in the supplement world too. It's not just cosmetics, but and it's not just natural cosmetics, it's all cosmetics. And so I would say you can get information about ingredients. You just have to look for it yourself. And in terms of the studies on natural ingredients, there are studies that are tracked, and that's the resources I was putting out. But I think more what I was talking about, co-evolving with natural products, that's more like something we can just track. There aren't like formal studies, but we can track that, for example, roses have been used in cosmetic preparations with beautiful results safely for hundreds of years. Or you could say that with a lot of botanical ingredients, a lot of natural oils. You know, we know that they're safe. You can get the one-off person that's allergic to a specific thing, and we should be mindful of that. Like, we don't formulate with any nut or seed oils, because the people who are allergic to nuts can be highly, highly allergic, and it's just not worth the risk. So like, I keep that in mind, big picture, but yeah, that's how I would describe that.
So right now, like pretty much like in this moment in time, every beauty personal care category has a clean or conscious or healthy alternative. So there's really no excuse to continue using like toxic, like known toxins in your conventional products. Now, as a consumer, let's say I want to detox my skincare, and I'm asking this of you. So Sarah, I've come to you. I've been using all the like, you know, drugstore stuff, not to say that there's not good stuff in the drugstores. There are. They're just not like widely spread. But anyway, so I'm ready to detox my skincare. What are the base modules of skincare from your experience? And what does my skin actually need? Because, you know, we get so many mixed messages. Like there's like, you know, 10-step skin routine at night. I don't know anyone who has time to do 10 steps at night. Like I have to quit my job so I can do my skincare. And then, you know, I'm a little bit more like on the skinimalist side, less is more, simply because of, you know, time, and I'm sensitive. I have sensitive skin. So what are the best base modules? And I really want you to talk about like the skincare wardrobe, because for me, that really clicked into place.
Yeah, I love that concept of a skincare wardrobe, because the fact is our skin does change throughout the year with different seasons, with what our body's going through, with like our heat systems, or if you have cooling systems with the weather. And so I think it's really nice to have a few things in your wardrobe to pick with what your skin actually needs that day. Like, am I producing more oil naturally because I'm in that part of my cycle? Have I entered a time in my life where my skin is just more dry? Am I still more prone to breakouts, combination skin? So I think it's really good to have a few things. Am I going to some place where it's higher elevation, it's extremely dry? Or am I gonna be, is it raining out and there's naturally more moisture in the air today? I just think it's really nice to be tracking and working with your skin as it's showing up, as you're showing up in the world.
But what are like your base modules? What are the things that like every skin kind of for sure needs?
So I do think we all need a cleanser, and we don't need to wash our skin every day, but we do need to cleanse. I think it's really good hygiene, and I think it's good for our health and safety, and it's good for our skin while also preserving our natural biome, right? So you want to use natural cleansers that aren't just totally wiping out all of the beneficial bacteria and microbiome of our skin. I also think we need to hydrate, and I try when I make products to infuse whatever product you're using with a lot of antioxidants and beneficial botanicals. So you're using a hydrator, for example, but it's also an anti-ager. It's also helping like deal with irritations and redness or any breakouts, right? So it's hitting from all these angles. So I really think, coming back, you need a cleanser, and then you need a hydrator. But underneath your hydrator, I want there to be a water layer, like a floral water or a toner, or we make a vitamin C tonic that's really amazing. And so you get your skin clean, and then you prep with that floral water, which really delivers more antioxidants, botanicals, really best things to your skin. And then you seal that in with your hydration. So that's a face oil or a face balm or a lotion, which is essentially just whipped water and oil, but then you have a challenge of the microbiology that can grow in that. And so you need more preservatives in there, more homogenizers. But however you do it, when you hydrate, you do need some water with the oil layer. So that's why I like to do it in the 3 steps: to cleanse, water layer, seal with hydration. And then if you need a sunscreen, because you're going to be outside a lot or what have you, you put that over. So that's what I do. I don't think most people need to wash their face every day unless they're wearing a lot on their face or they're getting dirty. So for me and I'm 41, so I need to wash like my face every other day, mostly, sometimes every day. It just depends. I'm working with what my face is doing.
Yeah.
So I like to have a balm, a really good face oil or two, and a couple different water layers, depending on what my skin is doing that time in my life. So my new favorite is literally our vitamin C tonic, which is floral water infused with botanicals and real vitamin C.
I'm
And
gonna
it's,
have to try that one.
yeah,
Because I have to say, and like Sarah is in no way like trying to get me to say this, but I actually tried your cleanser and I was really impressed with it. And I was impressed with it because anything that even mildly foams like completely strips my skin. And before I put anything on, I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm like, okay, I was skeptical because they're like really simple ingredients. I didn't think that it was going to do any kind of magic. But I also do this thing that this is like my cleanser test is I'll cleanse with a cleanser if someone wants me to try it out and give them feedback or whatever. And then I'll use our micellar water cleanser from like Sugar because it's part of the system afterwards. And every single cleanser that I use, and then I wipe down with a micellar cleanser after, like my cotton pad is dirty every time, like no exceptions. And your cleanser was the first time that like I washed my face like full makeup with just that one cleanser. And then I did my test and it wasn't like it had actually cleaned my face and taken makeup off, which was crazy. And the ingredients are so simple. Like we're gonna need to talk about like what you do in that bottle because
it's a bestseller. It has been since we launched, so 9 years. It's a true saponified, like saponified oils make a soap, right? And so it's that, but it's also infused with aloe leaf powder to make it really, really gentle and amazing botanicals.
Yeah. And the thing was like, I didn't feel like stripped down. And it's interesting you say that because cleansing oils have become really popular. And for a time I was a fan and I wanted to try every single one because it wasn't stripping my skin, but it always leaves like an oily residue. And with that oil, like, cause they're like pretty heavy molecules, you have all the other stuff that you were trying to wash off your face now trapped between these like oil molecules and it's sitting there. And then I'm like, okay, now I need to clean my face from the cleanser. And it's been really hard, but and that, oils like the saponified oils, if you mix them, you're supposed to get lather. But I didn't believe that until I tried your cleanser. So
thank you. I love balm cleanser. I love an oil cleanser, but not if you need to seriously wash your face. I think that's the difference. Like a balm or an oil cleanser is nice for a day that you haven't had anything on your face. And that's a really nice thing to do, to just keep hydrating the skin, keep softening, keep delivering antioxidants. I think a balm cleanser will be in our future. I think we'll be launching one, but I think it's really important in your wardrobe to have a true cleanser.
And that's something that I've heard from a lot of other skincare experts as well, is that, we tend to under cleanse and over moisturize the skin. And if you're looking at one item, I think that you want to kind of substitute, because like conventional cleansers have so much crap in them.
Yeah.
That's why your skin dries out after. It's not because it's like taking out the moisture. It's because it's stripping your skin of everything that is supposed to be there. So I would say, like, if you're going to change one thing in your skincare routine, it's find a good cleanser, because that's a really important step, and just getting rid of stuff. Okay. My last question for you is this, Sarah.
Okay.
What is the one conventional product that you have given up and will like never go back to?
Oh man, that is hard. One.
There's so many.
I don't use any conventional products on my skin.
But
none.
Okay, maybe let me ask it a different way. What is the one conventional product that you gave up and you keep getting validation for why you gave it up? And when you talk to people, you're like, you need to give this one thing up. What is that one thing for you? I'm going to talk about mine too.
Mike, you go first. I have to think about that for a second.
Okay. So for me, it is, it's definitely deodorant. I know we talked about this, or no, I shouldn't say deodorant, antiperspirants. I gave it up like years ago, and I'm so glad that I did. And that's the one thing that I would really recommend, especially for women more than men, is, I mean, we all want to smell good, but like, I mean, use something like this. Not perspiring is so toxic. Like that's literally how your body gets rid of toxins, is through your sweat. And now you're making yourself not sweat. That's messed up. Stop it.
Yeah.
That's my one thing.
I guess sunscreen to me is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, especially because the sunscreen ingredients are so toxic, right? And that is something that the FDA did just come out against.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
And so going and using just a natural zinc sunscreen, that it's a game changer. It's so much better for your skin. It's so much better for the planet if you're swimming in natural bodies of water, or even if you're showering. I mean, our whole motto at Earth to Face is what's good for us is good for the earth, and that's interchangeable. So what's good for the earth is good for us. And I think if we just start making our decisions that way, we're going to be thinking about generations down the line from us, and we're also thinking about what's good for us right now. So it's just a win-win.
Absolutely. And I'd love to end on that note, because I think what really intrigues me about your perspective is it's so circular. Everything from like how you approach production to how you approach ingredients, it's so circular, and that's natural. Like for us to think that like we're going to put something in our hair, then wash it down the drain, and then it disappears, that linear, like limited way of thinking is not real. And I think if there's one thing I really want people to get out of this discussion is really start thinking about the circularity or the circular impact of your choices. And on that note, I'm going to say bye. Thank you, Sarah, for joining me today and having this chat. We're going to include those links well, we'll talk about which links to include after we get off, but thanks for joining. Stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.